One thing that I saw people all over YouTube streaming, talking about, arguing about was the recent jury verdict on Jennifer Crumbley. Did you follow
I have
any of that?
not. No.
So this is in regards to Ethan Crumbley, the Oxford high shooting.
Okay.
And it was a rough situation, you know, like this young 15-year-old boy picks up a gun and goes in school and does what we've all heard too many times. And 4 students pass away. And there's an incredible story in that where, like, I think she was a teacher, literally confronted him face to face just to try to save one of the kids and did not run. And he didn't do anything to the teacher, which was pretty incredible. But anyway, it's a horrible situation, and something totally unprecedented happened, which is his mother and father were arrested for involuntary manslaughter due to them neglecting him and giving them some fault, some accountability, a burden to bear, because their choices as parents were not good choices. And the prosecution argued that that's ultimately what led Ethan to commit this crime.
I think that's incredible.
Well, there's been a lot of argument online, and I honestly, it depends. It depends on how this new precedent is used. And this is the first time it's ever been done before, so I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I think if it is abused in the future, then yeah, that's gonna be a problem. But as far as this particular case, I think the prosecution did a pretty good job painting the picture and showing really good evidence against her, because from what I was hearing, like, Ethan wrote in his journals that he asked for mental health help, but his parents wouldn't listen to him, sending texts about having hallucinations. And literally only days before the shooting, they bought him a gun at 15 and did not lock it up or secure it in any way.
Yeah. And that is, look, I said that's incredible because I am a firm believer that in most of the majority shooting situations that we've seen, it can be traced back to bad parenting. Now, understand that is not a one-size-fits-all stamp, you know?
Right.
It doesn't mean that happened. But the fact that they can charge parents when that is happening is what's nice. Not that every parent should be charged in every situation, because there's nature versus nurture argument always, right? So I just want to be clear, in me saying that doesn't mean that I'm like, yes, all parents need to be condemned because that happened. No, but if an investigation finds out that you were lacking as a parent, I think you should be.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be more than just lacking, and I do feel like this was way more than just lacking. It wasn't like, oh, I don't have enough time to hang out with my kid. It's like he has tons of cavities under his braces, like 11 or something like that. It's he begs for mental health help and nobody helps him. And among many things, many things. And I do feel like the parents' actions did lead to this. I think, you know, this boy was literally crying out for help. I think if he got help, this maybe wouldn't have happened, you know? And they literally bought him a gun.
Yeah, everything you're saying sounds to me like they are or have some kind of accountability or fault there. So again, I feel like in this situation, at least, that good. I'm glad this happened, you know?
Yeah.
Truly. I am glad this happened.
So her husband's trial will be coming up. I meant to look that up to see when it will be coming. But the only thing with that is, I mean, clearly, like, the father took him to shooting ranges, and I think that they're both probably in the same boat. But it does make me wonder, like, with her trial having just happened, and being determined as guilty, how impartial can the next jury be, you know?
Yeah. I
Because there's been
get
a
it.
lot of talk about that too. Like, what does that mean for the dad then?
Yep. I get it. I get it. However, look, uh, I I'm not against them being charged, convicted, managed the same way, because if both of them were in the same household and this was going on, guess what? You're both to blame.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. So I don't know if people are drawing these issues out about the difference between the mom and the dad, and maybe it's not fair. Okay, I mean, I see too many reasons why they should be judged similarly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that I'm pretty sure it's scheduled, but it's going to be coming up anyway. And you know, she faces up to 15 years for this, which I don't know, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a lot?
How many lives were lost?
4.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Do you think it should be more?
Um, I don't know. This is step one. So a lot of times asking me to commit to whether I think that's fair, whether I think it'll do good, I've got to be able to see the outcomes of these laws, right? Because every law and accountability within our justice system is done so with the intention of creating change and reducing these situations. So, is this going to be a case where it's going to help reduce these situations and make parents like realize I need to pay closer attention, you know, I need to be sure. I need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I want what works.
I think it's fair. You know, I do. I think it's fair. But the sentencing hasn't happened yet. We don't know how much time she's going to get yet. Um I've heard that they could count it as time served because she's already been in there a couple years. But the prosecution obviously is going to want like the full sentence. They're going to push for that.
Lives were lost, okay? This is not this is not a parental mistake. Lives were lost. This is a mistake that is severe enough. Multiple lives were lost. Like,
yeah, and
that's important.
The prosecution at some points leaned on like the mother having an affair and things like that. None of that stuff matters. It's the fact that she knew something was wrong with him. She even admitted on the stand she knew he was depressed for months. And there's even a part where they say that when he asked for help, they laughed at him when he was talking about hallucinating. Like, I mean, it's just the sheer neglect. And, you know, I was listening to a mental health professional talk about neglect, and they said sometimes, like, some cases of neglect can be so bad that it's worse on the kid than physical abuse.
Yeah.
And that just struck me. I didn't
knew that.
I didn't think about that. Like, neglect is so impactful, and they talked about how it makes you feel like almost less of a human, like you're not a human.
Mental health is so impactful that physical trauma is never as severe as mental trauma. When somebody is physically abused, let's say something that is really severe with your mental health, let's say there was a sexual abuse, right? And it was very violent. The physical heals, you get over that, but it's the mental that is prolonged pain that you have to actively go out of your way to try and correct. So for me, that's not surprising.
Well, obviously the physical heals. The part of physical abuse is the mental part
Yeah.
always. No matter what, that is the part that's hard to get over, is the mental aspect to it.
But
Neglect specifically, like
I mean, our
just
brains,
ignoring your child.
yeah, our brains identify with the physical aspects of anger, power, and control is where I was going, not the obvious, like obviously physical injuries heal, but we draw an easier connection with physical abuse and understanding that, because what ends up happening with mental health issues is a lot of times it prolongs it when we can't understand things like why we're the victim, why this person would do this to them in that nature. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of these open-ended questions that there are not answers for, end up getting held on to.
Yeah, but I think it was really impactful, some of the things stated in there about neglect, in the trial and how they didn't take care of him. And, looking more into neglect, I realized like it's literally telling it's telling your child over and over, they're not good enough, that they're not a person. They don't deserve even their basic needs or basic attention or love. And yeah, I think it can be on a developing brain who doesn't even understand these things, could be a major problem in a kid's development. So, the fact that all of this was going on with him for this long and then they bought him a gun, yeah, I see them as like an accessory, to murder. So, I want to know what you guys think about it, though. If you have a good argument to the contrary for or against the jury's verdict, let us know.